last we left off, I was beginning to pick parts off of the green truck in my driveway. After work on Thursday, I started pulling spark plugs out to see what condition everything was in. I started on the passenger bank and worked my way around to the other side of the engine, getting everything I could reach. Champions. J10Y. I'm sure this thing ran like shit. I hope you can excuse the wind noise in these clips. I'm shooting with a different camera for some of these, experimenting with different ways of filming stuff, and the wind really got to this one. So you may notice all of these plugs look pretty decent. They're dry, they have a little bit of carbonization, not too bad. I don't see anything really crazy on them, and they all pretty much look the same. There were only two that had some light flash rust on the edges, but everything else looked really dry. Random hose that doesn't go anywhere. That's good to know. Alright. Oh, they match on each side. That's good. There we go. Wow, there's actually brake fluid in there. The front is full, the rear is empty. So let's see, front is... What is this? Front is actual brakes. Looks like rear is clutch. Maybe? No, this is clutch over here. So the clutch actually has its own... It's got its own reservoir. And this is a dual master. Okay. Good to know. Alright. I didn't realize, but this is actually the clutch slave over here, the clutch reservoir. It's actually got an IH on it too. That's pretty sweet. Let's see if there's anything on that. Here's what the Cowl looks like. Full of stuff. I'll have to bring the vacuum cleaner out here to check it out. I can already see in the back there, doesn't look like a whole lot, but let's get the borescope in here and see what we can see. Here's the driver's side. You're looking right down into the hole where the Cowl vent is supposed to be. That little peak of green in the middle left is the inside of the cab. So there's nothing left of this Cowl vent at all. And then over here on the passenger side, it's pretty much the same. It looks like it's all basically just collapsed into the hole. I have no idea what to expect when I pull the heater motor out, but we're going to find out. So I've got here a box from the Scout Connection out in Iowa. I had talked to them about a month ago or so about setting me up with a wiring harness for the Travelall based on a 1963 model, because I'd had this pile of wires that a nice guy on Facebook sent me from probably a 68 or a 69. And having traced the wires back and everything, it's somewhere in between. It's not quite a 68, it's not a 63. The two different wiring layouts that are in the service manuals are a little inconclusive in terms of what is what. So I started tracing wires back, and you see in a previous video, and I got a couple of them figured out, like, you know, the big ones that have the numbers and everything, but stuff wasn't matching up and I was getting really confused, so I decided I would call the professionals and get them to send me something. So I put this aside, and I just got this package yesterday. Super helpful. With a couple of notes, they sent me printouts of all of the wiring diagrams, which I thought was really cool. Didn't have to do that, but they did. So the circuit diagrams for D900 through 1500, C900 through 1500. A bunch of extra stuff that I don't remember seeing in my diagrams, which were really cool too. Talking about the fuel tanks, all of the numbers of all of the different circuit numbers, which is great, or the names of the different circuit numbers, which is super helpful. I don't remember seeing this either. And yeah, just circuit identification. This is huge. I don't remember seeing this in mine, so just these pages are fantastic. The other thing they did was they sent me a note that said, the switch is included for connection location only, they are untested. They didn't have to do that, but they did. They sent, this is a ignition switch, and it's in there, it's got a key, who knows what it was from or whatever, but that's there. This is a light key, something I've never seen before. It's got these cool IH things on it, and it's a potentiometer. That's really cool. But this is what they sent me. Really nice work. So what we have here are the various connectors. This is a bulkhead connector, and everything is marked. So heater, light, all the numbers are placed. So they basically traced all the different numbers down and marked them for me, which was fantastic. The switch I mentioned before. This is the fuse panel. Now my only concern here, or one of my concerns, is that the dash that I have right now, I've actually used, or I've actually taken, I had a spare fuse panel like this model, and it fits in my dash perfectly. I don't know how this fuse panel is going to fit in mine, so I'm a little worried about whether or not this works, or if I've got some sort of weird in-between model, or what the story is here. But just in terms of like the workmanship and everything, they knocked it out of the park. This is the high beam switch that goes on the floor. This is all just super helpful. So I've got to figure out how I'm going to put all this stuff in pretty soon. The other thing that's kind of worrying me is that the way this is laid out looks different than the way my stuff is laid out, and I'm not really sure. Again, I'm wondering if this is like if I've got like an in-between model truck and they were making changes as they went, or like what the story is. So when I dig into my dash, I'm going to have to figure out if this will work, or if I've got to have something modified, or what the story is. But this is a lot further than where I was, and I can't say enough good things about the work that they did for me. This is just fantastic. So I just hooked the battery up from the Red Travelall to this thing. I don't hear any explosions. There's nothing basically smoking. So we're going to give this a shot. We're going to see how this works. Well, came down a little bit. Seems to have made my dog happy. I'm going to grease these tracks up and see if that makes any difference. Looks like there's probably some crud stuck in this thing. That could be a part of the problem. But let me give that a shot and see what I can do here. This motor actually works. At this point, I went back and forth between the switch and the window, just trying to get it to come down as much as I could. It might not be good for the motor, I realize that, but at this point, I just need to get the window down so I can get the whole thing open and do some surgery and figure out what's going on with it. All right, so the window is down, which is pretty amazing. I was able to hook the battery up and basically convince the window to go down all the way. Now I'm having a problem getting the latch to give. And I don't know what the story is there. I'm going to hit it with a whole bunch of baby blaster, and hopefully that will release it, and I get the tailgate down. Because then I can start storing stuff in back here, and I can get to the heater and do some other stuff. But that's a major win for today. Just for giggles, I have the battery hooked up right now, and you can see that indicator is on. if I go down, that indicator's on. So yeah, I wonder. No radio. Lights. Let's see what they do. Anything here? Oh, right. I've taken them all out, so no. The lights aren't going to do anything. That was kind of dumb. Okay. Wipers? No wipers. There isn't much else. I mean, I could try. Fan, temp. Yeah, that's not doing much of anything. I'm going to see if that light back there will turn on, just for giggles. Nope. I think probably the wires in between here and there are all cut. So yeah, not surprised. Okay. At this point, I started taking the radiator out. First, I was draining the radiator, and as it turned out, there was nothing in the engine. Nothing drained out of the lower hose or anything, so I cut both hoses. They were absolute trash. And then worked the bolts on either side. They came out really clean, and the whole radiator lifted right out. With that, I was able to get to the front of the engine and the cowl, and I could really focus on the fenders. When I pulled the engine out, I found the other corner molding that was missing, basically down inside, sitting on the cross member, and it's in perfect shape. So somehow, somewhere, somebody took this and they just sort of threw it in the engine bay, and it fell down there, and it made its way all the way back here from Pennsylvania, which is awesome. Next up, I'm going to try to swap the bumpers and get the clean bumper on the 63 and switch the license plates. And after that, I think I've got to look and see what the list is. But it's basically I'm trying to get the thing from the inside out so I can keep all the outside. Oh, that's the other thing. I've got to take the passenger fender off all the way. That'll probably be the next thing I do today is try to get that completely off. And I'll just hang it with one bolt and have it there for the time being. So that's where we stand right now. There's actually a ton of footage of me just messing with this fender for the next, I would say, hour and a half. This was painful. The bolts on the top of the eyebrow just did not want to come out. And then the one lowest bolt on the firewall was a pain in the butt. So there's just a lot of footage of me fussing with this thing. So I'm taking a break, getting a little lunch here. The update is that I've got the bumper almost off. I've got all of the panels that basically enclose the inner fender. Those are all off. I mean, for the most part, everything is coming off really smooth. There's just one or two bolts here or there that are being really hard to do. So just taking my time and taking breaks on one thing to jump to another, trying not to get too far ahead of myself. I'm going to have a little mercy on you here and speed this part up really fast. I had to basically get these last two bolts of the eyebrow out. I had to cut one of them out with a grinder. That really sucked. And then just as I was taking the fender off, the card in my camera filled and shut itself off. So I don't actually have the satisfying shot of that here. All right, the passenger fender is off. That took a lot, but finally I got it out. These two bolts up here were just a pain in my butt. It all looks pretty normal. I took these inside panels out as well. This whole part of the inner fender is ready to go. I could probably pull those bolts off, take these things off, and pull these fenders out. I'm gonna leave them on for right now. I'll probably pull 2 bolts out, leave the middle one there, or maybe just the top one, so that the outer fender has something to sit on. Because what I intend to do is I'm gonna take these, clearly, but I want to have something to hang on. I'm going to basically hang all of the sheet metal on this thing until the very last minute, and then I'll pull it off, and then I'll have it towed away, just so it doesn't look like it's abandoned or being parted out, which is a no-no to my my county. This bolt was easy. This bolt was hard. This one I had to grind out. That was a pain in the ass, the one lowest there, but they came out after a while. This fuel hose is total garbage. Was completely dry, and then as I got underneath, I realized there's no tank under here. There's no passenger saddle tank. This hose, there was some other hose that came over and then was capped off with a screw. I don't know what the hell's going on here. I don't think they had used this side in forever. So this is all just garbage, which is funny because on my Travelall, this is the actual, this is the side with the working gas tank. So, you know, who knows? I'm still trying to get the bumper off. This bolt is off of the front, but it's caught on the back side of the support. Basically, this part here, it's caught on one of these holes here on that side. So I'm trying to get that off. Just taking a break from that right now. Again, plenty of rust and stuff here. Sheet metal looks pretty good. There's a crease here. I think I mentioned that earlier. I didn't realize, but there's also actually a crease right here too. These are scrapes I got from just taking it off and whatever. And then if I flip it over, I'll come around to the other side here. The inside actually doesn't look bad at all. The inside is pretty clean. This, you know, as with every other fender, is bad, but I don't see any of the rust through. There's no rust up front here. There's no rust. Well, there's a little bit on the eyebrow here. That can be cleaned up, but the top looks good. The support up here looks good. The fuel hose, you know, inlet looks good. It's been undercoated, so, you know, apart from the creases and everything, this fender is in really good shape too. So looks like I got 2 clean fenders. It isn't often I get to put any bling on the red bus, so I was pretty psyched to put the chrome bumper on this thing and clean it up, and I'm really happy with the way it looks. Then I hung my crappy white bumper on the green truck so that I could hang my license plate on it and keep it looking halfway decent while it's sitting in the driveway. All right, so update. Inner fender is ready to come off. There's one bolt here. There's one bolt there. I'm going to leave it on so I can basically just put the fender back on here. I pulled this resistor off. I'll probably pull the washer motor off, even though it's not going to work or whatever. And there's just some clips and some other stuff here that have to come off, and this thing is ready to go. So I'm going to do that to the other side to get the other side prepared, and then I'll put the fenders back on, and then I can move to other stuff. The other thing I did was I hit the mounts for the heater with PP Blaster, and then I tried to get them open, and they are rusted pretty well. So I'm going to let them sit. I'll probably hit them with a torch and heat them up one more time and see if they'll budge today. But the thing is, they're spinning on themselves. Like, I think the heater box may be so rotten inside that there's nothing catching because these things are just spinning on themselves. So I may just wind up having to cut these right off. We'll have to see. I think this one may come off. This one is spinning. This one is a question mark right now. So that's where we stand there. I'll hit the washer, or the wiper motor, and the other stuff with PB Blaster. I'll pull this balance resistor off, and just keep working on this part. So again, the rear window's down. This latch, I'm pulling it up. I'm pushing it down. I'm pretty sure it's got to go up because this is a lever and it's pushing down on the catch. It's not releasing yet. The window is clear here and it's clear over here. So it's not catching on anything. It's not like it's being stopped by anything because everything under this section should come forward. It's just not releasing, and I'm not sure why yet. So it may be that I've got to pull all of these stupid screws out still. We'll see. I was just in the back here. I started actually pulling a little bit of the trim down, getting ahead of myself like a dumbass. I also started pulling all of the screws out of this. These are actually spinning, this one and this one. I'll have to get something under here and jimmy this open and try to figure out why it's not coming up. I've also got to vacuum this out. This is, you know, just a bunch of stuff that's fallen in here. I'm pretty sure, oh, there's one screw right here. But I don't feel any other screws down at the bottom here, I don't think. Maybe that's one. I'll have to dig that out and see later this week. But try to get this out. The coolant system, as far as I know, is empty. So I think all of this will come out without making a giant mess on the driveway, which will be nice. Now that I've got the fenders off, I can start up the brake system. I'll drain that out and start pulling the brake booster and other stuff off. The other thing I did today was to swap the bumpers. So this is the bumper that came on the red bus. It's got the plate on the red bus so that this thing appears to be tagged and titled. There's my list of stuff in order of what I need to be doing. But I put the chrome bumper on the red bus, and man, that makes that look about 1,000,000 times better. The front of this thing still looks like it's been in a boxing match, but just having that bumper on there, a straighter bumper, makes just a world of difference. I kind of like the way the standoff looks on this thing too, so I'm going to get some different channel, probably a little bit shallower, redo this whole thing, clean this up. I'm going to fix the mounts and back, and what I might actually do is put another plate across the front there, like a nice thick plate, and use that as the secondary mount for this thing, and just get it mounted up and ready to go. But yeah, that's looking pretty good. So I haven't touched the fender in a while. I've got to get back to the fender. Right now, the fender's on the back burner. It's more about getting this thing parted out and out of here. If you've made it this far in the video, you're probably still pretty interested in Travellalls. To keep this thing going, I've got a storefront up at threadless.com. There are all sorts of designs there, Travellalls, Travelettes, Scouts, and other designs. I'll put a link in the description. Thanks for watching.